Today we've got a treat for you. My name's Eric Schnabel and I work at Facebook Creative Shop. And a few months ago in our New York office, we were lucky to meet some really extraordinary people. They came in, they told us their story, and we fell in love with these guys. And so in the last couple months, we've worked on trying to tell their story. And so we're going to share a video with you right now that a lot of people in the jury rooms have been watching because it's been a pretty good few days. They've taken home 8 gold lions, and we have aspirations for a couple more. But we're going to show you the video that has been telling their story to all those juries. So we'll watch that now, and then we'll bring the guys out.
What happened last summer was a start. It started the end of ALS.
Anthony has weakness in his upper body. He has no use of his hands anymore. We feed him through a tube.
I have to have my brother, my father, or my wife shower me, get me dressed. There's a reason why Pete's not talking, because he can no longer talk. He's in a chair because he can no longer walk. There are many different devices he has at this time because without them, he wouldn't be able to live.
Your mind is not affected at all, and yet your body is just completely shutting down, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Pete was a Division I baseball star. Can I give you a star?
That's a grand slam home run for Pete Frates.
I really can't put into words what I feel right now, but
Here we were, you know, just newly married, and what are we going to do? Is there a cure? Is there anything? What can he take? And there was nothing. There was no hope. There was nothing.
This is to generate awareness about ALS.
I sent it out to 3 of my girlfriends, and it just kind of took off in our town. It was pretty unbelievable.
This is for you, Anthony.
My network was linked just by one person to her network.
For the Quinn for the Win Fund, my brother, Pat Quinn.
From there, he passed it to Pete, and his network really took off with it.
Accepting the Ice Bucket Challenge in support of Pete Frates.
Pete's family was commenting, liking, and sharing for the first couple nights straight through.
Week 1, Boston media.
Challenge you.
Week 2, national media. Week 3, celebrities. Week 4, global.
I've been trying to do stuff for a long time, and nothing did what this did.
We would stay up till, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because we wanted to respond to everybody just to thank them.
I feel the Ice Bucket Challenge created some hope.
You might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for.
One of the best guys I've ever met right here next to me. And that's why we gotta continue to fight this disease.
He doesn't think that it's actually going to help him, but he does think that eventually it will help somebody in the future who's diagnosed.
1, 2, 3.
Because he's okay with that because he has me and Taya. So.
This August, every August, please help us do it again.
So please join me in welcoming some really special people. So we'll call them out one at a time. This is Nancy Freydis. Nancy, if you haven't seen her TED Talk yet, it is incredibly inspiring, and she's brilliant, and she is Pete's mom. And come up, Brian Frederick. So this guy works for the ALS Association, and he left a job as a big-time PR executive to work with these guys full-time. And here's the man. This is Pat Quinn. And you know, this guy's been doing things. One of the things that we wanted to call out was the Ice Bucket Challenge wasn't the first thing that these guys did. Like they've been trying to do things for a long time and building a grassroots network, and this was just a thing that really took off for them. And also we have Jen and Julie here, their wives, who are every bit as important to this whole thing. So I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
Yeah, thank you. So usually we show this video at the end because it's kind of hard to bring it back down after seeing such an impactful video. But I'm glad you all got to see that. We're here because of these two families. As Eric said, I joined the ALS Association specifically after meeting this guy and his lovely wife Jen, and I just realized that this was a disease that was taking just a really awesome guy, and I wanted to do everything that I could to try and beat it. And so that's how I came to be part of it. And so we'll talk today a little bit about what happened, but I want to let these guys do most of the talking. So I'll start by asking Pat a question, because really what seemed to be so important, and one thing that I've noticed, a lot of people say, you know, how did the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge start? And why was it ALS? You know, it could have been any disease, and I used to think it was luck that it happened to be ALS, but actually it's really not. It was because the ALS community, they have such strong support networks where the friends and family really want to help each other and help the person living with ALS, and that's why the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge actually happened. So Pat, can you talk a little bit about the importance of social media and social networking to the community?
Yeah, sure. First, thank you for all coming to see us. I mean, anytime we could speak in front of you about the disease and create some awareness, it's important, so thank you. But I always like to start that if you just learned about ALS first last summer, or you saw the Ice Bucket Challenge and now you know about it, it took a lot more than that to get people's attention. I was diagnosed in March 2013, and Pete Frates was diagnosed almost a year prior. And after I was diagnosed, after that state of shock wears off, you go on the internet and you start looking up stuff. And one of my major goals was to be very proactive, get my story out there. I knew I was young. I was hoping I'd last for a while and we could really make a difference. So the first guy I found was already doing that, and his name was Pete Frates. So instead of just sitting around, like I said, I want to be proactive. I emailed him. I believe Nancy got that email. And before you knew it, I was going up to Mass General, seeing a neurologist, and Pete got back to me. And that weekend, we went out to lunch, the two of these lovely ladies, Pete and his brother, and he was very upfront, said, "Look, I'm an open book, just ask what you want, and I'm here to help." And ever since then, our connection has been very tight, and he's been a great piece of my support system, because everything is about support and friends and family when you're dealing with something so difficult. And the whole Facebook world has changed how people connect. Pete's network is insane all over Facebook. Team Frates training, search it, you won't regret it. I have Quinn for the win locally to me, and we're working every day, we're out there, and these networks have thousands and thousands of followers now, so our message is getting out there. Same way Pete can't speak anymore, but he can sure bust my balls on Facebook Messenger. His spirit is what keeps me going, because he is an inspiration. He doesn't give up, so I don't give up. And by us not giving up, we inspire others to get out there. And now it's not just Freak Train and Quinn for the Win on Facebook. There are ALS patients in a community that without that social media wouldn't have a voice, because many of them can't speak. So Facebook is crucial in that connection, and it's absolutely vital in our communication.
Thanks, Pat. So, Nancy, we're here in Cannes. It's hard to believe that, you know, what started in a few backyards actually has turned into, we now have 8 gold lions that we've won, and yeah, and it's a lot of it's because of a lot of you, right? So that's one thing we don't get to say on stage is had many of you not taken the Ice Bucket Challenge and done this, it wouldn't have become what it was. So thank you all very much for all of these on behalf of the ALS community. It's made a huge difference. So Nancy, we're here in Cannes, and it started in a backyard. And for you, since this happened, it's been a bit of a whirlwind too. Can you talk about the awareness and the importance of the advocacy that you're doing and what your journey's been like since and a little bit before, if you like?
Sure. So first of all, thank you. Second of all, I really wish Pete was here because you would all fall madly in love with him, just like all of us are. So the journey is a little different for me. ALS affects 30,000 people at one time in the United States. So just to kind of put our disease in context, every 90 minutes, someone is diagnosed. Every 90 minutes, someone dies. So right then and there, if you know anything about the medical and pharma industry, we're battling numbers, right? So my son was playing baseball, as you saw, and he got hit in the wrist. And we thought his wrist was broken. He had graduated Boston College, he had played in Europe, he came home, he got a job, just like every one of you, moved out of our house. We gave him his cell phone bill, his own health insurance, and said, go off. And he was living a very large life in Boston. He had a beautiful girlfriend, and he got hit in the wrist. And after about 6 months of going to see doctors, he said, hey, Mom and Dad, I got a doctor's appointment. Can you guys come? I got dressed that morning. If you've ever driven in Boston traffic, we took 3 cars in to the doctor's office because we thought they were going to tell us he had a sprained wrist. So just kind of to put it in context of how this happened. We go into the doctor's office, and they tell us, 27-year-old, that you have ALS. Sporadic ALS. Now, how basic a word is that, right? Sporadic. That's the medical term. So Pat and Pete, they have no idea why they got it. None. It's like getting hit by a bus. And so the doctor says, well, your son has ALS. Pete, I don't know how to tell you this, you have ALS. So I go back to that moment, and you talk about fueling my advocacy. That moment fuels my advocacy. Because I'm being told that my son has this disease, and what do? I go to my knowledge Rolodex, right? When someone mentions a subject that is new to you, what did I know? I knew 2 things. I knew it was bad, but I didn't really relatively know what bad meant. I just knew it was bad. And I knew Lou Gehrig was 75 years ago. So 75 years. Quickly, I think to myself, 75 years. Okay, we've put men on the moon. You guys have all been born and created the internet, and, you know, all these things have happened. So you look at the doctor and you say, okay, this is what he has, because that's basically how my family works. You know, we're workers. He has ALS. What do we do now? And then the second shoe drops. The doctor looks right at us and says, sorry to tell you, there's no treatment, no cure, and the prognosis is 3 to 5 years. And oh yeah, during that 3 to 5 years, every muscle in his body, every day, something else will be taken away from him. I don't know what was worse, the actual diagnosis, or then when I was told that there's nothing that they were going to do. And then they said to us, so instead of going to a pharmacy and getting any drugs, go to GNC and get some zinc and copper. And we'll see you again in 3 months. That is as truthful as I can be, what happened on that fateful day in March, 1 year ahead of Pat. So, Eric, thank you for my little shout out for my TED, but I think there's a moment in my TED Talk that kind of defines my TED Talk. And I think the reason that people have latched onto it is because it came straight from my heart. And what I said was that this situation we found completely and totally unacceptable, right? There was no other word. And Pete is the one, 6 hours after diagnosis, that termed it as such. He looked at all of us, Julie, my daughter, my son, my husband, and I, 6 hours after diagnosis, and said, this situation that we have found ourselves in is unacceptable. And then he went back to his jock talk and he said, so strap it on. There's going to be no whining, no wallowing, and we're moving forward. We're going to change the trajectory of this disease. That is verbatim what my son, my hero, said 6 hours after diagnosis. So I've been saying to a lot of people here, Sheryl Sandberg, your COO, wrote an eloquent post about her husband Dave a couple of weeks ago. And in the last paragraph, she articulated the words that I've been trying to say when I talk about our advocacy. She wants option A, and that's to have her husband back. And you know what her friend said to her? I'm sorry, option A is no longer available, but we're gonna kick the shit out of option B. And you know what? I've been saying I would love to go back to my ho-hum life, drive to work, save for retirement, check my 401k, but I can't. I can't go back to the day that Pete doesn't have ALS. And our family, and a year later we bring in the Quinns, the Gleasons. We're kicking the shit out of a disease, out of a situation that is so unacceptable. And we're not going to stand for it anymore. So we're here to first give our gratitude, but we're also here to ask your help. Please help us, and please join us. You'll be seeing a lot of us because of magnificent people that we have working with us now. But this is just all based in love. Love of Pat and love of Pete. So we invite you on our journey to help end this disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. So it became clear, obviously these guys did change the trajectory of ALS forever. It was 75 years, it was Lou Gehrig's disease, a famous baseball player in America. And now really the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge has changed awareness of ALS. People know ALS, the letters, they know about the disease. So now we need to pivot to what happens next. And we've really been working on trying to sort of make this something that benefits the ALS community for years to come, and hopefully just one more year. Hopefully just one more year, because we get a cure and a treatment so quickly that we don't need this. But Pat, can you talk a little bit about what we've sort of been working on over the last few months, and what our mantra that you have so eloquently spoken for us?
Yeah, I'll start with that. Recently I was lucky enough to attend the Webbies, and Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, before he broke his leg, was able to come out there and really speak about the Ice Bucket Challenge and really capture the attention of the crowd. And we were going back and forth on the whole night.
You only get 5 words in your Webby acceptance speech, so we had to think long and hard about what are those 5 words that Pat's going to say.
And most of them for the whole night were comical, and everyone was trying to get a laugh. And I'm actually glad I could say it tonight, because I didn't say it that night. And we were going back and forth with the funny one or the one that I actually said. And we were going to go with "We Made You All Wet." And my wife pretty much said, "You're not going to be the funny guy. You're going to be the guy that inspires the room and continues to make a difference." So I guess fortunately we went with every August until a cure. And the place stood up and went nuts, and thank you for not letting me say the other one. But because of what happened last summer, the support system we have has grown exponentially, from just our families doing insane amounts of advocacy to more recently being in a room with Eric and Jason and incredible, smart, creative people from all over the country coming in. We met at Facebook, and I thought we did great last summer, but because of people like that, we're setting the bar higher, and we have goals, and changing the course of a disease is gonna take a lot of money and a lot of awareness, and last summer was just the beginning. I mean, they tell us it's over $2 billion to get a treatment option. So, although 220 million sounds great, and thank you, whoever donated, we need more, and we need a lot more. And there's people dying every day that won't see the results of this. So, it needs to be urgent, and we need another monster August. So we've been with Facebook, and we've been making plans, and because of the amazing connections the Freydis family have made, we have some real tremendous opportunities. So when August comes around, we're not just gonna hope it works out this year. We're putting real effort and real work into it, and we're gonna do everything to keep that organic nature of the challenge your friends and donate. But what happened last summer was so big that you can't just hope it happens again. There's real lives on the line here. This isn't fun and games for us. This is life or death. And the networking we've done has changed our outlook. It's no longer hope. It's we're gonna do this.
Can I just add something to what Pat just said? Because so one of the things, and we've been talking about this initial meeting that we had in New York at Facebook. I will tell you the most profound piece. You know, Tim Campos VC'd into us and told us all these incredible numbers. But the main thing that came out of that meeting that I took was opportunity. So they told us the number one reason why people did the Ice Bucket Challenge. Why do you think they did it? Because someone they know challenged them. People-to-people relationships was the root of why this thing went completely crazy. But to us now, more importantly, the number one reason why they didn't do it was because they weren't challenged. And what Facebook showed us in the metrics was opportunity. The people who were not challenged. So I've been kind of on this kind of whirlwind, doing a lot of advocacy, speaking to a lot of groups. And at the end, I'm doing that person-to-person connection. I'm telling them, so I'm Pete's mom, right? And I'm personally challenging all of you. So that's what I'd like to do right now, is I'd personally like to challenge everyone within the sound of our voice, our collective voice, to, when you see Pat and Pete, our heroes, kick this thing off at the beginning of August, you tell them, I was personally challenged by the Freydis and the Quinns. And go forth and tag 3 people and tell them to help Pete and Pat.
Absolutely. And so I think at this point, on that challenge, we'd like to maybe open it up for any questions if anybody has. Ooh, that's a big question. What headway have we made with the pharmaceutical companies? Well, it's as folks know, it's a very long and expensive process to bring one treatment to market. But one of the benefits of this has been to bring awareness from the public to what is happening with the specific drugs and treatments. And so I would say that we are progressing. I know Nancy's had conversations with pharmaceutical companies, and our organization has, and so we're moving in the right direction. This was definitely a catalyst to really get a sense of urgency about ALS, so I think it's been positive.
Yeah, and that's the piece that we all found, another piece of the unacceptability. It was a disease that wasn't being heard, right? So how you know, you got to be a disruptor. And I think that's been our motivation is, I talk to a lot of reps now that sell either equipment for ALS patients or their therapists that work with ALS patients. And prior to the Ice Bucket Challenge, they said they used to take the first 45 minutes to tell people what it was. right? And now you walk in and people know what it is. How amazing is that? So all that slacktivism that we got last year, I just laugh. I think it's hysterical. I'm like, oh yeah, slacktivism. Let's look at some numbers. And then I start my little PowerPoint of numbers. And but the main thing is that now we're on the map. So when you have like a TV show like Empire, right? Empire, what a splash Empire made last year, right? The whole plot was written around the fact that the top dog got ALS, the father got ALS, and the kids were all going to fight for the empire, right? Then Night Shift just had an episode a couple of weeks ago where a guy was getting a diagnosis and he was given the diagnosis of ALS, and he looked at the physician and he said, "Oh, you mean that ice bucket disease?" That's mainstream. This is a disease that people didn't even know what it was, and we're on mainstream television shows now. Not that that's our be-all, end-all, but that just shows you the progress. Yeah.
Yep. Other questions? Yes.
Firstly, congratulations. Amazing campaign. As someone who also works for an NGO, different subject area, how do you think you're going to inspire people to take part again? Not because it's not a worthy cause, but I just look at how many other people have tried to do a Me Too event, challenging friends, etc. There was a very successful one in the UK called No Makeup Selfie. So given that it's likely to be the same sort of product, if you like, this summer, do you think people will still take part? And I desperately hope they do.
That's a great question. I think that we know that the ALS community is so strong and so active that within the ALS community, because these guys bring together so many family members and friends and supporters and networks, that within that community, it will definitely happen every August. And we think that with some of the early teasing marketing that we're going to do, we can sort of get that over the hump to the larger general public. It's just about, I've always said from the very beginning, if I could put this guy out in front of every TV camera, and we've had him go 30 TV shows in a morning. One morning he sat down and did 30 different TV shows. You get this guy in front of a camera and people understand, like, he's the rock star, he's the reason why we're doing this. And so we just have to get him and Pete and all the people that had a connection to it before out there again. Who knows what will happen, but we really hope that it takes off again. We're confident that we at least have the ball rolling down the hill, and we hope it picks up a lot of steam.
And the thing is, you guys are master storytellers.
Yeah.
Our story continues. That's my son you saw up here. Last year, my son didn't have a ventilator. He was not on life support. His story is continuing. We tell people, ALS families, ALS patients are our heroes, but around each ALS patient, now this isn't leaning towards my politics, but just like Hillary said, it takes a village. It seriously takes a village to support an ALS patient as this disease progresses. So in all of these little villages, their stories continue to progress. And unfortunately, between last August and this August, how many friends have we lost, Pat? We've lost probably just 10, 15 of our really good ALS hero friends. And in 1 week, the city of Pittsburgh lost their 3 top ALS advocates in the same week. So the story lives on. And it's Brian and his organization and the Quinns and the Freydis that will keep it going.
Well, I think on behalf of these guys and the entire ALS community, I'd really like to thank Facebook because they have been absolutely awesome. I cannot tell you how great they've been to us, and they're really the reason why we're sitting here, the reason why we've had such great success with these Con Awards. We're just nonprofit and families from Boston and New York, and to be sitting here with these gold lions is awesome. But we hope that you will continue to do it again this August and every August until the cure. Thanks again for your time. You have any closing words?
Yeah, just always remember that last year was the start, by no means was the end. Remember that slogan every August until a cure. Hopefully we don't have to go too far down the road because, like Nancy mentioned, it's not getting any easier for me, it's not getting easier for Pete. This disease is very difficult. So when August comes around, remember that. Every August until a cure, it's a mantra we're going to live by. And for us, it's not just August, it's every day. So your support in August will mean everything to us. So thank you.
Thank you all.